So we start this week trying to paint strip the engine vents. Not a huge problem, you would think. However, I searched around online, had a look, saw various different methods and thought I'd found the solution with white vinegar and baking soda. So I'm filling up a container with a few litres of white vinegar, a couple of litres, 3 litres, and then putting in the baking soda. However, I didn't realise that the conversation that was being had by my family inside the house would be picked up so readily by my hypersensitive microphones, and thus the conversation underneath you can hear is them making travel arrangements. Baking soda and vinegar doesn't work. So I went to Screwfix, grabbed their cheapest paint stripper, because a couple of people online said that they'd had some success on plastic with this, but don't leave it on too long. Yeah. Okay, we've got the back quarter grills that suck hot air out of the engine bay and cool the engine down. A lot of people think that it's blasting air into the engine, and no, it's not how these work. So what we've got is, I've got 3. So I've got 1 off of one side and 2 off of another. My van, Vinnie, had them all painted white, and I soaked them overnight with some of this. From the place that fixes screws. And I got this from the place that fixes screws. And it's pulled it off, but it started to soften the plastic a little bit, just a little bit. So I think, and I struggled to find paint stripper that just took stuff off of plastic. People have sort of suggested things, but not readily available. But anyway, this is now very, very gungy. This is the spare one I've got, you can see. So hopefully if we have screwed it up, we've got a spare that's usable. Fingers crossed. I did try bicarbonate of soda and white vinegar, a lot of white vinegar, and saving money. Didn't work at all, not on this paint, may on other paints. But I think this is car body paint and it didn't work. So I'm just gonna, I've rinsed it off a bit, but you can see it's still quite attached, even though it's quite wrinkled. I'm having trouble getting this brush into that. Yeah, I think the surface of the plastic is very... Hope I haven't ruined a part, because confession, I didn't do one. I did both of them. It's only this morning when waking up I thought to myself, oh, I should have, might even be just rubbing that into the surface. This brush is completely clogged up. It's no longer a brush, it's a solid mass. It's like one bristle brush. I'm wondering if a jet wash might do the trick. You see, that's been soaked in it and it's melting the plastic. So it didn't melt the plastic when I did do a test piece. I did do yeah, that's whew. That might be alright. Oh no, that is properly melted, the plastic. Don't use the paint stripper from the fixing of screw places, because take it from me, this is very soft now. It may harden up again, but I'm not going to hold my breath. For some reason, I think the bees think this is pollen. Oh, bugger. Yeah, that's a lot softer than I thought it was. Oh, actually, cooling it down, not that it was hot, but oh, we might be alright. I think if we rub it off, you're not going to see the back. It's all good. May have worked. I may have caught it just in time. That's a bit soft in there, but then I dosed some of it heavier than others. Yeah, that's a bit in need of some light fettling, I'm guessing. Anything on the back side I'm not too worried about. In fact, I'm not too worried about the front side, because when you see the paint finish there. And welcome the furry visitor that's not welcome. Stop scaring our old boy. One of the neighbour's cats. It's very friendly, but it is prone to chasing our old boy. And he's not happy about it. Come round my manor, kicking it up. I remember when I was your age. I had to run in the neighbourhood. Now I barely get outside for a pee. That's not the point. This is my manor. Right. Yeah, I don't think you're going to notice it. Obviously, if you've watched me do this, you'll notice it, because you'll look for it. But look, that's coming off. I feel like I'm intimately massaging it. I know, should have gloves, left them at the van, blah blah blah, but it's in water, so I'm thinking that's going to be alright. Well, it was heavily dosed. I think my mistake was leaving it on overnight. That was possibly the error. Because when I did it, I did a test run, and I left it just over an hour, and that didn't affect the plastic at all. There was no feeling like that the plastic was very squidgy. It's almost like it's taken a layer of plastic off as well. Oops, it's... Yeah. The only problem is, I think it's rubbing it into the surface of the plastic where it's gone squidgy. Look, can you see that? That's flakes in the surface. I think I have. I've balked it. I have balked it. So, annoying. Thankfully, with cars, you can fix everything.
everything can be fixed with the application of only 2 items. The first item, a little bit of time, sometimes a lot of bit of time. This is coming off nice. Yeah. The other key essential ingredient for fixing any problem on car, an unlimited supply of money. Because, you know, if you screw something up, just go and buy a new one. Unfortunately, on older vehicles, that can prove very difficult if the part is either super in demand and not made, in which case you're vying with a vast quantity of people for the same small and diminishing return on parts, or you can get it from a specialist manufacturer for only the application. Why is everything a £500 note? Why is, oh, that's £500, that's £500. £500 seems to be the key price point for everything with a car. You know, that's broken. What's that? Oh, that's three £500. Just 3 £500 notes will get you that sorted. See, it is where the surface isn't soft, it is coming off. I'm wondering if I do 2 things. I wonder if I leave it and stop futzing with it, just neutralise it, just get all the stuff off so it's not, and just let it go hard again. See if that works. You know, if it's gone soft with the stuff on it, will it go hard, or is it permanently removed that layer off of the Stuart? Stop futzing with it. Look, it's relatively washed off. It's no longer on the back. It feels sort of squidgy under finger. So where the trouble with that is, where it's melted, the plastic also feels a bit squidgy under finger. It's a slightly different squidgy. See, look. Yeah. Imagine the coolness of the water seems to be firming it up. So I'm wondering if it's just like, see that plastic hole, that hole is just completely covered up. To re-drill that. Oh, it's going to leave my fingerprints in it. It's a crime scene. Now what you can probably see actually, that it's got like a crackulature finish, the actual surface of the plastic, which the paint has sort of embedded itself in and exaggerated. But I think I'm going to have to rub these down, and I should have rubbed them down in the first place, and then they wouldn't be so deformed. Right. I think I just need to leave this just do what it needs to do now. I've got this on another one. So what I might do with the other one is firstly getting off the surface the goo, so that it stops doing whatever it's doing, but also don't rub it. Don't rub it or scrub it, knowing that the surface is a little soft. Actually, I'm going to turn it over and do the back first. And then hopefully that will flow through to the front. Yeah, it was where it was sat on it. It's all got a bit, yeah, pretty loosey-goosey. Luckily and thankfully, I don't think these will cost me an arm and a leg. Obviously, it's my fuck up to pay for, quite literally. And I'm hoping that, well, I know, you can pick these up quite cheap, relatively cheap. See, look, that was the promise. The surface on that is absolutely fine. So, you know, look, it's just teasing it off. Oh, it's smearing it a bit. That's the paint being soft, not the surface though. But, yeah, the surfaces on those, absolutely golden. Absolutely golden. Maybe the paint will go a little more brittle as it gets this stuff off it as well, and be easier to flake off. So if everything was to harden up a bit on this one, we'd get away with it, because I've got that spare other one, the get out of jail free card on the other side. Look at it, that's bringing it right off. Yeah, look. This. I'm just testing it with my thumbnail. And truth be told, the surface feels pliable, not soft. I wouldn't call it soft. I'd call it, you'd more easily dent it. The sides feel exceptionally soft, but then they hadn't had that much paint on them, so I'm guessing the stuff hit the plastic harder. It wasn't being shielded by the paint, or at least the paint absorbing whatever it was getting it to do. That tab feels a lot stronger than that other one. I don't know. Yeah, it's the same situation. The surface is a little soft in places. I guess where the paint was thinner, maybe, or not as keyed. Because why do some areas lift and not other areas at all? I don't know, variations in the thickness of the application of the paint stripper. Yeah, no idea why. an area starts lifting and creates a valley either side of it where the paint stripper then runs into and sits deeper, making more of a, I don't know, impact to the no idea. If you're a paint chemist and you can tell me how paint stripper works, I'd be eternally grateful. The surface on this one has fared a lot better than the other one. You know, could it be such like there's more sun damage on the other ones and therefore it's more susceptible? Don't know. Answers on the postcard. If you're a plastic chemist, which might be the same thing as a paint chemist to be fair, considering they're manufactured out of oils, yeah, get in touch, let me know how paint stripper works and why some areas may have gone soft and other areas not. See, it does come off, just rub it. Unfortunately, in some areas you're rubbing off the surface. Yeah, see, like there, that there is... Stop rubbing it then, Stuart. Okay. Well, you know. What have we learnt today? We've learnt that the fixing of screw supplier has a product that can help but also melt the surface. I mean, look, there's a paint bristle embedded in the plastic. Oh yeah, it's all a bit, that's all a bit yeesh. Alright, there we go. Yeah. Just let it do its thing. It does harden up a bit when you spray water on it. Maybe that's the cold. Yeah. By the time I finish though, you're not going to see any of this. None of this heartache. Yeah, see that surface is... that one's fine. What's that all about then? Right. I'm going to do what I just said, is leave it alone. Put them in the sink. Leave them be. Rinse off my hands, just to make sure there's nothing. Yeah, so removed the paint. Also melted the plastic. To be fair, it does say leave it for an hour. And I left it for a lot longer. So yeah, moral of the story is it might do the job, but if you leave it too long, it might also melt the plastic. To be continued. A quick scour of eBay and 40 quid later, we solved the problem. A few days later, we jump back to the van and the weather is still hot. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Vinnie the Van, the Rebel Zombie project vehicle. If you're paying attention and you remember,
we've got this door to do, we've got the front to do, and then we've got the top to do. And one of the things that I've also got to do is there are some, let's call them potholes in the paint in various places around the van. Just got to put a skim of filler, just flat it off. I mean, a tiny kiss of filler, flat it off, and then just give it another final little that patch coat of primer, and we'll have achieved what we were setting out to achieve. Maybe not in this episode. I've got 4 hours. My watch has died. I've got 4 hours, and I've got to be back because Jem needs the car. So without any messing around or further ado, I'm going to hit this with 600, and we've got the Scotch Brite. So let's get going. There's a couple of minor imperfections, but like I say, when you see the paint job, they aren't going to be the first thing that your eye is drawn to. So today is going to be testing 4 hours of a lot of work, and it's 27 degrees, and this building is like an oven. It's like it accumulates the heat, so the heat beats down on the roof, and the roof then acts like a massive radiator. So I think it's possibly closer to 30 degrees today, and it's one of the things that I've struggled with this paint job is the temperature has just been all over the place, and the days that I could get down here seem to be the really hot days, which the roof has shown me the paint is not going to like that, and when we go for the finish paint, it's definitely not going to like it. So I've got to wait for the temperature to drop a little bit because I'm in basically an open-sided barn. So we'll give it our best shot, obviously, and it will be what it will be, because at the end of the day, I've only got so much time and I've only got so much patience. So let's crack on with it. Right, first up is this door. Let's get our lights on. Just put that there. I'm going to come back the other way because I don't want the lights in the camera. Right. There we go. Let's just get back there a little more. So I'm just going to hit it with these 600s just to take the dust and the residue off. I mean, it has dried really flat, so I'm pleased about that. The other thing is, I've also been training for a half marathon, and whilst a half marathon isn't, it's going to sound really false modesty, but it's not that big a distance. It's not like the marathon. I've only ever done one marathon, and it was nearly the end of me. It took me nearly 6 hours, so yeah, I'm not quick. But it does take up energy, and I've only got so many spoons of energy, being a man of a certain age, and you have to respect it. So I've been juggling my training needs, my health needs, and my business needs, whilst at the same time trying to sort this out. You see, that's working lovely. If you remember, you cast your mind back a few episodes, I had that issue there, and you can still see the darkness of the different tone of primer, which was same make, same finish, but you can you see that? You might be able to see it a bit better if I brought you a bit closer. there, as you can see it there, look. Like I say, I've also been fighting the weather, so it may have been a temperature issue. Yeah, and don't forget to remind me, I need to put the panel sealer on. Oh, we haven't spoken about bumpers. The original metal bumpers are not going back on. We've got a little bit of a treat for the van and the look. Now we've got another problem. I'm sweating and dripping on it. Gross. I think it's time we cracked on with the front, which is going to be quite simple. We've got some bird strike. Look, you've done sterling work sticking with me this far, but me doing a load more sanding is not going to change. As much as I want to give some great content, sanding is not great content. And if you watch anyone who does sanding, from woodworkers, metal workers, body shop workers, everyone says it's boring and dull, and it kind of is. There's only one thing more boring and dull than sanding, and that's scraping, and I did 3 months of it. So let me crack on with this. You go and research scraping, and we'll adjourn back here when I've done all the front and the roof. Who knows when that will be? Hopefully before the end of this session. I've got about an hour, and I've done the front. I redid this door. I wasn't quite happy with it. I've done this. I've done that. On the other side, I've got the roof to do. So I'm going to crack on with that. Yeah. Like that. Right. Let's get on with it.
I don't think you want to see 3 hours of this, so I'll come back in a minute when it's done. Well, at the very least in an hour when I've got to go. So, wish me luck. That was a very hot and sweaty session, and not in a good way. It's been an hour since we last spoke. The roof is now done. The roof actually came up really well. I was surprised. It was the roughest, grainiest surface from the spray cans because I sprayed it on a hot day. But it seems to have adhered well and has come right back up and flatted off very nicely. There's a couple of spots I'm going to just touch in, but apart from that, it's looking really good. Right, the roof needs some Scotch Brighting, yeah, grey Scotch Brite all over it, which I will do tomorrow because right now I've got to get home and I am absolutely beat. So that's the entire van rubbed down. Tomorrow, seam sealant, filler in the very few spots that it is required, and then it will be blow it over and panel white, and hopefully if the weather dips down next week we might be able to get on with some paint. I'm going to spray it in you know, that rough stuff that you put on underneath. I can't remember what it's called. Brain is literally fried and I am so thirsty. So for today, we'll see you tomorrow. Done.
More hydrated Stuart here, brain in full function. Of course, it was after I'd packed up, I realised I hadn't shown you the finished product of the roof. So here's some finished product of the roof. One, two. What follows next is me spending 5 minutes trying to find the blessed microphone on a mottled grey, black, dark, very dark green surface, looking for a black greyish mic. What I also didn't realise was that when the mic fell off, it stopped working. Everything you hear from here on in is on the phone mic. Apologies for the variable sound quality. Let me show you the body seams. If you're not a VW fan, then you might not be aware of this. So I'm going to take you out the holder. So these fans are actually very modular. You can take each one of these panels out, drill out the welds and replace them. So they kind of on the outside show you what you need to replace if you were going to replace an entire panel. And there is, I think the nerd alarm's gone off. There is filler that goes in between where the two panels come together and get spot welded. On the inside there's a seam, but on the outside they get some panel filler. And as you can see, the welding here has left some gaps where they've put in the thing. So we need to put in the panel filler around there, down there, along the edge, blah de blah de blah. But it's gummy stuff and you have to take some precautions. And then there's, let me give you an example of a paint blemish, if I can spot one. Yeah, here's a good example. Just here, these. No, not those. Where is it? There.
This is going to be under the wing mirror, so I'm not too worried about it, but you can see it's like a divot. I haven't quite got it flat enough. So what I'm going to do is, rather than paint over it, where am I? I'm going to stick a little bit of finishing filler in there and just rub it down. And there are 2 or 3 places like that, not many. One of them is just here, actually. But you can see the surface is a little rougher than you'd want it to be. So hitting that with some filler would be a good idea. So let's get crack-a-lacking. It's like doing your kitchen worktops. If you do your kitchen worktops, I do like masticing. also I'm trying to force it a bit more into the gate. So, goes right there. Looks needed. what we've got there is the masked up and filled body lines. So they go up there, down there, and around the corner. So we can now get on with doing the paint blemishes. So everything's now rubbed down to 400, and these small areas have just been touched up. They are way bigger than is necessary, but I'm terrible. I can't put a dab of filler and it just all seems to go everywhere. So just little bits and pieces here and there. And now we do the final bit of the roof. So I'm going to use the old grey Scotch-Brite and finish up the roof. Quite the afternoon. Got really hot at one point, but we have now hit the side and the roof and done everything we can to get it to 400. All of the bits that have been touched in, been rubbed down and then panel wiped and then hit, and I can see exactly where they are because it's matte, but I think it will come back with just a little bit of Scotch-Brite. So that's it for this week. I'm very busy next week running a half marathon and recovering, so if I get anything done on the van, fingers crossed, that'd be great. I've got to do the same on the other side. I've done some of the filling and prep. It'll go off over the course of the next few days, and then when I come back next week, maybe Tuesday, I'm having Monday off, we'll do the same to the other side. There's far less, I think, issues with the other side because I kind of addressed them at the time. So this side was a bit more of a rush, and then as I got dialed my eye in, as it were, we've improved. It's all learning, isn't it? So all of this is done, all of this is done, the few bits on the front, all done. Just needs flattened back with Scotch-Brite, bits on the roof. There are a few minor other bits on the roof which I'll address all at the end. But there we go, all done, and just prep on the other side, flat back any of the prep that we've done, and finish off any prep on the roof, and then flat that back. I reckon another afternoon of doing that and masking. We're going to let this panel stuff go off, and then we'll prime over the top of that as well. So that will all be done in the next episode. So thanks very much, and see you next time. And for another top production, join me next week, where hopefully we may even start to put some paint on. Top quality productions here at Rebel Zombie. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and see you next time.